At MTAC Another World, John was joined by the Side Quest podcast to interview Ricco Fajardo in this awesome interview for the OSMcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to MTAC Another World. I am John. I am here to interview Ricco Fajardo. Very excited. Ricco, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good to see you guys. I know we have camera over here, but for those of you just listening, we have like a beautiful table in front of us, and I feel like we're about to play an amazing tabletop game because it's like a beautiful, rich mahogany table.
All right, now I need everyone to roll initiative.
Hell yeah! Let's go. You cannot sleep. There are enemies nearby. What do you mean?
Where the hell are they?
Yeah, the mud crab just in the window. Look at it.
Flipping through a rock.
Yes. I adore it.
So, Ricco, what have you been working on lately that you can tell us about?
Gosh, so much. I was caught yesterday in a panel here at MTAC. I'm back after a few years. I do a panel called Best Anime of, insert year here. And so it's a kind of a cleverly, I think, hidden acting class inside of a goal where we are to make the best anime together via a bunch of improv games. Very D&D-esque, improvisational. But while I was doing that panel, I was asked, what have you been working on? And immediately the most exciting things came to the front of my mind. And I was like, I can't talk about that yet.
Of course.
But they should be coming out soon. A lot of video games, which is really exciting. I'm a big gamer. Yeah, I'm pumped. They're very fun. Animation-wise, we're finishing, My Hero Academia this year, which is crazy. 10-year journey. You guys, it's wild to say that about anything. So I'm very grateful to be knock on rich mahogany wood. I got to be a part of this journey with everyone for a decade. But don't worry, because One Piece will never end. So it's an interesting thing being a voice actor in anime specifically, because man, some of these properties just go and some just appear for a second and then boop. So it's a wild ride. But yeah, I realize I said all that, and outside of just My Hero and One Piece, there are other exciting games that hopefully you guys will hear very soon. And yeah, even the thing that I'm spending all of my life on recently, I'm very much into immersive theater. Have you ever heard of lovely shows like Sleep No More in New York that just closed recently this year? Amazing, after like a 15, almost like 20-year long run. In New York, Third Rail Project in New York, Lemon Difficult. They do Key of Dreams, a 24-hour immersive thing that you guys would adore because you're all gamers here. That's in Wales. The company Punch Drunk, who develops a bunch of amazing experiences. I've been studying with them to hopefully bring something stateside this year. And I say hopefully because that's the only way I can preserve the mystery that I am in fact doing something. So, but it's a big element. Part of gaming, as you guys probably know, when you play a game and someone just hands a tutorial to you and says like, this is how you go left, right, forward. This is where all the items are. Here's a little outline of something. You know what I mean? It holds your hand a bit versus the games that just drop you in the sandbox and they're like, good luck. Figure out the rules. And there's certain gamers that adore certain versions of that. Some people hate it when they're not told, what can I do? But I think an IRL tactile real experience like that, think escape room, but not at all, like no rules to it, in the vein of what I'm working on right now.
Well, that's really exciting.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope you guys are able to attend this thing that may or may not exist.
We'll just have to keep our eye out.
Yes, unfortunately, you will. That's roll for perception.
Yeah.
Refresh Twitter. No, not yet.
So what made you take an interest in acting?
Let me think. I was a powerfully introverted kid in high school when I was a young lad. And yeah, but I adored games. My favorite game of all time on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, a game called Chrono Trigger. The
Yeah.
Yes.
the art was
Reactions around the whole
beautiful,
table.
dude. And I remember looking at all the like things you could rent at Blockbuster and seeing the art cover was Akira Toriyama from Dragon Ball, and I'm looking at all, I'm like, I know that art, and isn't it beautiful? Like, I mean, as an adult, I can say it, but as a kid, I'm like, there's something about this that I adore. And as an adult, I can talk to you at length about the orchestration, about the storytelling, about the multiple endings, about the way that the characters work together, how their relationships echo how they level up together and the skills they can do, and like the mechanics of it. But as a kid, when you can't put that to words, and I'm just like, this is my favorite thing ever. What a glorious place to live in. And yeah, so 12-year-old Rico's like silently playing this game for hours on end, and then Final Fantasy VII comes out on PlayStation. I had to play it on my sister's PlayStation because I didn't have one of those. But very introverted. I spent all my time playing games. Moved around a lot, military family. Had to move my last year of like junior year of high school. I moved like right as it was ending into senior year. So I'm like brand new school, brand new state, lost like a bunch of my credits because I moved state. So I was from an advanced student to like remedial, which sucked. So I had to do like intercession and summer school. And I was like, so I just seemed like this kind of like dumb kid coming into the school. Like legit, people were like, oh, you have to take all these classes. I'm like, and I'm quiet with my hoodie, got my long emo hair, listening to Linkin Park in the corner on my freaking CD player. And like, yeah, they, one of the classes, like, you should just take a theater class because it's an easy A. You'll get an A, and because we need to keep your GPA up because you're taking like 24 credits in like 1 year. That's a lot.
And a lot.
Yeah, dude, I was not. And for me, again, I was like an AP student, but I was in a different state. I was in a state of Nevada. I went from California to Nevada, and I was like, whatever, fine. And I was very bummed out, very depressed, young man, as most emo kids are. And when I took this theater class, my lovely teacher Brent Matthews was going around, and he's trying to teach. It's like the elective. We wouldn't have that name maybe, but like you have to try a bunch of different things, so ceramics and art, but this one was theater. And I'm sitting there in the corner, again super emo and the thing, and my teacher goes, "Yeah, hey, who wants to try reading Shakespeare?" It's like it's the finest like poetry. This is like supposed to be the best of the English language, and I have no experience with this. He hands it to me. And we all take turns. That was the only way to get an A for the day, was to like go up and just read. You don't have to do anything, no acting, nothing. Just go up and read the words. I read the stuff, and when I finished, people applauded in the audience. I was like, okay, whatever. And I sat down, and my teacher was like, hey, just so you know, like you might be able to. That's all he said to me, and I was like, okay. And this is the first time anyone in my life, any teacher, had ever told me that I might be able to do anything. And so in life, I think you're lucky to have either like a really good, is like my hero pitch that I always say, like for Mirio, is like, you're lucky if you have a best friend, a colleague, someone close to you that you can bond with and find your dreams with, a parent supportive, like a guardian of some kind that can like foster your growth, or hopefully, a teacher, someone who can guide you. Like one of these things, like if you can have one of these like strong bonds, you can go really far in life. Mirio in my hero has all three, so that's why he does so well talking about support systems. But my acting teacher in high school, when he told me that, it incepted me, dude. This little seed in the back of my head. I was like, I just started reading more. I was like, well, what else is out there? I'm like, if he said I did that well, just naturally, right? What else do I have? And man, I got bitten by the theater bug. Like, and especially for a quiet kid, for someone that does not communicate, does not phonate, to give them the most like beautiful language written in the English language, like poetry, and to have it like be charged with emotion, which, as you know, any teenage kid, is like a freaking like battery of emotion. You lodge that into something like Shakespeare, it just like came alive. And I was like, I know exactly what Cassius is feeling like, and Julius Caesar. I can freaking just rant and rail at the heavens, as Romeo, as Juliet's dead. Spoilers, or like.
I haven't finished watching it yet. Damn.
Sorry, but yeah, like, and that's one
Still
of the
in season 1.
So actually, and I know you guys listening might not have heard what we were talking about earlier. We were talking about we were in the age of remakes and reboots and like originality. What is it? I am a fan of that. Like, there are some classics, like people still go to see R&J or Hamlet because what if it's different this time? We're playing it the same time every time, but if it's done well, and because the writing is so flippin' good, you will hope that the lovers get together. You will hope that Hamlet makes it. You will hope that, like, because that's the ride we're on. We're not anticipating. We already know, yeah, Hamlet dies in the end. Like, that's how it's written, right? However, what if tonight's different? And that's what, like, acting's all about. Anyway, it was nice talking to you. No. Okay.
Fuck this shit out of
Well, I mean, this is kind of just a total segue. At the age of 20, you took on the role of Macbeth in a community college. How did tackling that complex character early on help cement your love for acting?
Man, that was wild. Yeah, I was in community college, so as a pretty poor kid, lower income for sure, and my family was not very supportive of acting. I'm a second generation, meaning, which is to clarify for people, first generation people think that's like, you were immigrated. It's if you were born here, you're second generation. If you're first generation before immigrated. So technically, I am second generation, United Statesian. And my family were military family. They're like, hey, what do you want to do with your life? I'm like, I want to do acting. I want to do theater. And they're like, why do you want to hurt the family? That was literally what my grandmother said. She's like, why do you want to do this thing that literally, why would you do that? You need to do something that's going to make money and you need to blend into America. And I'm like, that sounds boring and lame. But I also understand because you got to survive, right? And survival is so important, especially for second generation people, like, because you watched your parents like, just freaking, integrate and like, we got to work hard. And especially for folks from Philippines, we have a big export of like nurses, medical, like huge medical care field. The care field is so important stateside here. So yeah, it's like, please be nurse or lawyer or doctor, like all these different things. And I'm like, I want to be actor. It's like, like we are not helping you in any capacity. So you need to find your own way. So the way I did it was through community college. I was going to do a 2-year transfer to University of California, Irvine, and then get my master's at SMU. But before all that path, at Antelope Valley College, Stefan Wolfert, speaking of military, retired military guy who directed me so beautifully in a moment where, are you guys familiar with Mackers, with Macbeth? We're not in a theater, I can say it. Yeah. There's a sequence where Macbeth is coming home from battle and he hasn't seen Lady M, and they meet together. And it's this very climactic scene where she goes like, we're going to kill the king. That's what we're going to do. And Macbeth is like, what the hell? What? We just won. Like, why would we do that right now?
Just got back.
But we did this lovely piece of physical action, which unlocked the whole scene, because it is kind of strange. You could play it a variety of ways, but he's like, all I want for you to do is like coming home from war, right? Because you weren't sure if you're going to see your family anymore. See your beautiful wife, who you happen to be able to have kids with for whatever reason, come up and embrace her and just hold her. Nothing like super sexual, like we're just going to get down and dirty right there and then, which is usually like that you think, I'm going to make it sexy and cool. It's like, no, just hold your wife. And I went up, I saw her, I dropped my sword, dropped my bag, I held her face, I looked at her, and I embraced her. And man, the breath that comes in, we call breath inspiration, quite literally your inspiring breath, like the inspiration to speak, dude. I took a breath and the text just came out like honey. It came so natural. Anytime you might think you're going to forget something, it just, if you're in the right place in this scene, man, Shakespeare's words just come tumbling out. And yeah, Stefan taught me a lot with classical text and bolstered me a lot during that, because 20-year-old Macbeth, it's kind of strange. A lot of people in the community, there were other actors who were like more, I guess, age appropriate, you would say, but he's like, no, dude, you are perfect and you will light this thing up. And his belief in me, because I've never done this much text before, ever. It was incredible getting to grapple with it. So yeah, if you're ever, this for any advice out there for anyone dealing with any kind of art, ain't nothing to it but to do it, man. Just make a mess, get in there. But it also is very helpful to have some lovely, lovely teachers and guides with you. So that was very formative. It gave me a lot of courage. And do you guys ever done theater, anything like that, acting like that? Where you have like the cast list. There's this thing where like everyone rushes to the cast list to see like, am I on it? I was never on that usually. And actually going quickly back to, this is going to be all about teachers. But Brett Matthews, in my senior year of high school, before graduating, the last role he cast me in was the smallest role. It was literally, I'm like the senior, supposed to be getting the big role, right? Because look at me go. And he cast me in the smallest role, Primus, in a show called Rossum's Universal Replicants, talking about robots and things like that, and synths, right? And my character was the final synth. Spoilers on the show. It's very old. But he's the one that develops emotion for the first time. kind of like K, and he's like, and it was a beautiful moment. We used music from Blade Runner at the ending, as it's like, tears in the rain kind of thing, like blending out. And as a young man, I didn't realize, I'm like, I feel slighted. I'm not saying all the words. I'm not doing all the things. This is bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. I was like, there was a part of me that was like, I guess I'm not good enough, right? But then, literally, Mr. Matthews sat me down. And he's like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "I'm okay. I'm fine." Because I'm used to getting kind of like dunked on in my life. I'm like, "It's good. I'm all right." I take my licks and just keep going, right? Very militant kind of headspace about it. And he goes, "You're upset." He's like, "I'm gonna let you know right now." He's like, "You're gonna do this for a living. I know you are. You need to know that these roles sometimes are the most important roles in the whole movie, in the whole thing. When we think about Blade Runner, and we think about that lovely improvised scene of Tears in the Rain, and we think about like these iconic moments with these characters, sometimes it isn't the lead person. But as an actor, if you don't feel like I'm doing it, am I not doing it? It doesn't feel like I'm doing it. It's like, dude, not all of life is like that. Like these graceful little moments sometimes are the most impactful. And I thought he was kind of pulling my leg a little bit. I kind of thought he was like, just like, hopefully he likes this small role we gave him. But damn it, man, he was right. Like literally, dude. I mean, Mirio in My Hero Academia's line count isn't like the biggest, but golly, that character has changed so many lives, as according from the conventions I've been to and the people that care so much about these characters. So yeah,
Nearly ruined our friendship.
incredible.
We can expound.
I got him and his wife are my roommate, and I was like, "You guys need to watch My Hero. It's incredible." We get to the whole overhaul arc, and they're screaming at me on the couch. And then we get to, fast forward seasons. They do the war arc. Everyone's getting blasted.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Getting yelled at again, just berated.
Why would you make us watch this? This is why. Yeah.
Up to that point, Mirio had been their favorite character. So I'm like, please, just one more episode, please.
I was here for this. Like, I didn't see the rest of it. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna continue watching, and I'm over here like.
And you already know, it's coming.
I know it's coming, but also
When you see the cape that it teased, throwing pillows on it.
Dude, the way they animated him, I love that Horikoshi's such a comic book nerd. Like when he's permeating, it's literally Superman. And by the way, if you're familiar with Death of Superman comic, Doomsday, very iconic. Doomsday spikes, very much like overhaul spikes, and the cape that's Horikoshi just. Man, it's nice to see content made by a fellow like nerd and like a fan of, like, thank you for loving the stuff that we love the same way, because you can see it in the art. You
can see it also just in his like volumes, because they're written in a way where it's like, oh, it's like a comic book. You see the ads on the back.
Yo, dude,
it's so cool.
It's really great, man. You feel the love. You really can feel the love when you're. But yeah, why did that ruin the friendship?
For me, it almost. We were just.
They were like,
we couldn't just take
care about this, and now it's ruined.
Now we're watching people die.
Yeah,
we love, and we just didn't see the hope. And then
he's Captain Clutch, dude. He's there. Clutch. Yeah, he's always ultimate rescue hero. But to take it quickly back to that question, I think it's really important to remember that even the small things that you do, like. Actually, this is a perfect segue, because you know how Mirio, we're talking here, you guys are when Mirio loses his quirk, I've had young people come up to the table and say, "Hey, Ari, I don't like Mirio. He's too happy. How is that possible? No one's that happy." And I was like, point taken. That's really interesting, because he is very positive. But when I thought about it, I was like, oh, dude, big three. It's like Horikoshi's so smart with what he highlights his characters, right? Amajiki, social anxiety. Nejire Hado, ADHD. Mirio, depression, his quirk. Because if you Google clinical depression, it says it feels like falling. You can't hear, you can't see, you can't breathe. Mirio says that verbatim. And he goes, I think it feels like I can fall forever, right? When he permeates, like any of our Shadowcat, Nightcrawler friends, and they mess up, they get cut. So the metaphor for self-harm, right? All the cuts on Mirio's arms, right? As he's trying to master himself. But he's so optimistic because he faces his darkness all the time. Which is like, for any of us, that's what he tells class 1, that's what he tells a freshman. He goes, even All Might fails, you guys. Like, no one is perfect. You can't save them all. But what I can tell you is that since I fall all the time, if you can master getting back up, if you can master that, you are unstoppable. Which I think is like just beautiful advice for anyone. But going to Eri, this kid's like, I don't like Eri. He's like, yeah, Mirio lost his quirk. He was going to be so powerful. And I was like, no, did you see that because he sacrificed, he gave Eri a sense of self first time in her life, instead of being told you're trash, you're garbage, you're worthless, right, by the person who's supposed to be your caretaker, right? So imagine a parent, and some people don't have to imagine, myself included, saying you're worthless, you're garbage, you're nothing. Until someone says to you, no, you have value, shows you in the most earnest way, how can you ever give up on yourself when someone shows up for you like that? So, and that's the thing of My Hero, is the things you do and say matter, no matter how graceful or even intangible. Because that's the thing I think with kiddos is they want to feel agency. They want to feel powerful, right? That's what superhero, it feels good to have power, right? Literally, power, that's Mirio's catchphrase. But it's not about that. It's about like relinquishing it, which, yeah, for all my Hero friends that have read to the end of the manga, love it. But anyway, I could go on and on, as I clearly am, sorry.
No need to apologize.
So with acting being such a competitive field and there's a lot of rejection involved, what keeps you motivated?
Yeah, a lot of things. I love like the entertainment itself. There's a reciprocity there when you play a dope game, anything new, a piece of music. I'm inspired all the time. A person's story, literally the story you just told. There's something like, oh man, that fires me up. And it's like not Ouroboros. What's a better way to, it's very catalytic. The energy doesn't die, really. There are times when you get low. A successful actor books 5% of the time. So that's 95% of the things you're doing, you fail. Quite literally. Some people would contest me on that, but I'm like, no, if we're all auditioning, and by the way, that only applies if you're putting in like gold auditions. I'm not talking about just like pooping out a crappy audition. I'm talking about taking the time to do good work and it not booking. I know after doing this for so long that nothing speaks louder than your work. So even you mentioned that, so you brought up Macbeth, and that's a deep cut. There are people that still remember me from that role, from undergrad, 20-year-old Ricco. I remember your Macbeth. Someone on a plane stopped me and they were like, excuse me. And usually it's mostly anime video games at this point.
Yeah.
They were like, I so loved your Romeo. And I went, I'm sorry, what? 2016, you guys. 2016, I was in outdoor Romeo and Juliet in Shakespeare in the Park in Dallas. She was like, I just want to tell you, I remembered you and my son and I, was the first time we understood Shakespeare. And I was like, what the hell, man? To be stopped on a plane, and now everyone's looking at me like, who's that? I'm like, I'm not, I'm just a regular guy, like, fancy pants, whatever. I'm an actor, but it's moments like that I realize that even when you're just putting in the work and you're getting those rejections, every one of those rejections is a possible yes. Inside of each one of those, to me, I can book everything. Literally, they could be casting a 80-year-old woman that can, play ukulele underwater, and I'm like, dope, I can play uke. I could do that, and I'm like, I'll book it. I literally have that mentality, and not deluding myself. I just can see a version of this show where I fit in and how I can make it telling the story. And if you can see that, if you can visualize that, and then you crush it as best as you can, obviously I might not have a pool to shoot this in, but I'm going to, maybe put some blue stuff, like have someone wave a blanket of blue, and like it can be done. And if that's what I think is the most important, is to recognize that little percent, that chance of win, the fact that it exists in the room is thrilling, like, to me. And if you aren't energized by that, it's like, yeah, maybe go bolster your courage, go read a book, go play with your friends, like find the inspiration to build up that mana, you know what I mean? Because you might just be out of mana, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, but like not enough mana. But like because that happens. We all get tired, and it can be a defeating thing. Also, adjust your expectations, because if you're thinking like, man, I can't wait to be in anime, I'm like, dope, cool. I'm like, after that, once you do that, you can die happy just being in an anime. Talk to some actors like, yeah, that's my goal. Well, cool. Be in One Piece, be pirate number 37B, and that's it. Now go about living your life. What happens after that? What are you trying to do? If you just want to be a part of a thing, anyone can be a part of a thing. Really, anyone can. But some people, that's it, which is great, just to be like a little part of it, because clearly that tells me how, like, what your attachment to this thing is. However, if you're coming in to be like, I want to tell this story, I want to be a part of it in this way, whether you're a designer, whether you're a sound engineer, however you want to contribute, if you can make something come alive in a way, other artists smell that. They smell that, and they're like, oh, dude, you want to get down. Like a D&D campaign, you're like, I put in so much work. Like the second you lay out the map, I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like you can tell when people put good work out there, man. It's exciting to me. So yeah, I guess I managed to find excitement in just about everything. From the micro, like students just beginning, trying to figure out Shakespeare, all the way to whatever. Yeah. Talking to John Cena about Peacemaker and being like, oh yeah, super big fancy thing. All of it's the same to me. literally. Like the kid working on this and the big stuff, it's all the same. And so it's thrilling to even just like, do you know what I mean? It's a big playground. There's so much that's possible. So yeah, don't really have time to think about the L's when a lot of those L's wind up becoming wins when someone calls you like, hey, so you auditioned for me 7 years ago? I think you'd be perfect for this. And I'm like, good God, what? So it ain't over, man. It ain't over. Like really, you don't know what the impact you're having with every audition. But anyway.
So I'm going to let you go on this question. The theme of this convention is another world, isekai. If you had to be transported to another world, what would you choose?
Oh, man. We were all talking about superpowers and stuff. That'd be cool. It's just me as I am. So I go there and I don't have any powers. That sucks ass. You know,
I mean, you could go to Blade Runner and get like some tech.
I mean, yeah, but not. You're human.
Fair.
Human that I said.
Look at us min-max. Find the way to get the most loot and stuff. Which, that would be fun. I think about this, and I'll tie this back into Chrono Trigger for all my pals here that have played that game. I always form it this way. Like, if a portal just opened up, like we're sitting here in a big blue portal, it goes, and it opens up next to us, and we don't know where it's going. Would you be willing to jump in and forsake everything what's happening in this current reality that we know to jump into this hole? Now, all our science fans are probably like, you're going to be torn asunder. You'll die. Maybe. Possibly. Doctor Strange into threads, whatever it is. I don't know what world I would want to be in outside of this one that I know. But I guess if I had to pick something thrilling, I would choose one where there was time travel, like a Chrono Trigger-esque world where we could all travel through time. And actually, I mean, it's horrible with Lavos. But for some reason, this tickles my brain right now, and I'm going to follow through on it. I'm going to choose the world of Chrono Trigger, as dark as the future can be, and as chaotic as everything could be. It's just it'd be interesting to know what element you are,
right?
And what element you are, and how we coalesce and how that manifests. That would be cool. I'm assuming that we all get one, because it'd be sad you get there. It's like, oh yeah, you're
gonna be a shopkeeper.
You're like, which is fine. Shopkeeper in another world. That's an isekai. But I'll say, just because that we talked about that, and we're already, our gamer minds are trying to min-max. How cool would it be to be in Gotham or whatever? And you're like, oh God, this is horrible. This is really
all the cities.
I was gonna say housing, great though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, very cheap, very affordable. But I will say, just for the sake of our conversation, how fun it's been talking to you guys, I'll say Chrono Trigger World, because how thrilling to be able to go back in time and join your ragtag group of members to save the world. Assuming that in whatever way I'd be a part of that, I'd love to be a part of that.
Well, Ricco, this has been a delight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. I can talk to you forever. See y'all.
Was the interview. Thank you to both Ricco and MTAC for letting us have the chance to talk with them, and for the SideQuest podcast guys to join us on it, and John for heading it all up. You can find all our stuff at OSMcast.com, and you can find all of Ricco's stuff in our show notes on our website, which is OSMcast.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.